them off, on and off. They want to make sure they can take the ballots in any orientation. They want to make sure they can read different color inks. And again, we talked to the Stoughton municipal clerk after that recount. She realized she should have caught it in the pre-election test, but she was practically in tears. She said, I tested that machine for 40 different things, and I was all alone when I did it. But counting votes right was not one of the things. So you go to the pre-election voting machine test just to make sure we have instructions online. WisconsinElectionIntegrity.org. We have instructions for observers, how to observe a pre-election voting machine test. And, okay, quick.
No, just time check. Lunch is approximately 1, and it's 22.
Okay.
And so I'm going to leave a little time for break in between, but enjoy the conversation.
Okay.
You're not pushed. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
There was something else I wanted to say about pre-election voting machine tests, but you have a question, Mary?
So, we observed a Menominee Falls for recall, and there were 5 of us. We got to the site around 6:30, and we talked to the chief election person. And she's like, well, I normally don't do this, but I'm here at the site, right? And then we're all standing around getting ready to observe whatever. And this fellow walks out of the room, which we don't even know how he got in there. And he had a striped shirt on. And he looks at us and he says, oh, I just changed the cartridge and the machine. And there's 5 of us standing there and we're like,
And this was at a pre-election voting machine test, or a poll opening, or poll closing?
no, it was before the polls opened. And we're like,
No.
what did he just say?
No.
And he walks out, and we're standing around going, how did he get in there? Who was he? And then, of course, the police came and removed us and said...
And removed you.
removed us.
But they didn't do anything about that. I mean, just switched out the cartridge on the voting machine in violation of state law.
This was before the election opened. And I didn't really think about this until the training with Jill Stein, where somebody was speaking, this fellow, and he said, watch for the people, often their right to lifers, who are standing around the voting machines and they're changing the cartridges. Because we knew that it happened, and we're like, what? And he admitted, he walked. Yeah.
Okay, did everyone hear that story? Again, okay, boy. That's the other good thing about observers. They can observe stuff like this when it happens, and if citizen observers aren't there to observe, we might as well, but if you hadn't been there, they can violate the law right and left, and if there's no one to observe this. Here's some good news. The Legislative Audit Bureau did an audit of what was then the GAB, but now it's the Wisconsin Election Commission. And one of the things they seriously criticized the Wisconsin election, or the GAB, about, and they interviewed me for this part of their audit, was their responsiveness to citizen complaints. And the Legislative Audit Bureau's report on GAB said you have got to improve your receptivity to citizen complaints, your tracking of them, and your resolution of them. And the Wisconsin Election Commission is just taking on, what GAB used to do. And they seriously are working on improving their, the seriousness with which they receive and process and resolve citizen complaints. So if anyone in this room is like me and you learned over the years just, don't bother complaining to GAB, erase that from your brains right now and start again. Let's try it. You see something like that, get Wisconsin Election Commission on the phone and say, I'm filing I want to report a violation. And I really think they need to be put through their paces on implementing some of the things they say they're going to implement in terms of taking citizen complaints seriously.
Yeah, and I don't know how, if the chief inspector let that fellow in, which is the only thing she could have done by the back door, because we were standing in the only way to get
Again, even the chief inspectors is practically a volunteer, is a temporary employee, gets 4 days experience a year, gets no oversight, was probably trained by her predecessor and never got any real training. I mean, I know they're supposed to go through, go view this Wisconsin Election Commission video online, and they don't know what's in those videos if you ask them. These are, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say stuff like that out loud. Yeah. We need citizen observers who are knowledgeable, and we need to start reporting things to Wisconsin Elections Commission again. Miles?
Just in that case, what I think should happen even today is that they should go back and do hand count all those ballots to see whether they're accurate. Because if somebody's coming in and changing the cartridges, which implies that they're changing the results, they should be able to go back and look at other copies of the ballots, and that should be a mandatory thing.
He's saying there should be a mandatory hand count when something like that happens. I'm saying there should be a mandatory hand count when, no matter what happens, even if nothing happens, it's got to be routine. Otherwise, it just turns into a political thing that they'll only recount the results that they don't like, or audit the results that they don't like. Yeah.
I have a question. In your conclusion, you say that the voting machines make mistakes. That's not the problem. It's problem that no one checks. And then it has two things that 20 other states require election officials to verify the accuracy. And then the other one was that the voter candidates need to insist that our election officials verify the accuracy of the voting machine output with routine, transparent post-election results before they certify. To make those changes, would that be better done on a municipal level, a county level, a statewide level? How do we go about making those changes needed?
How do we go about getting our election results verified? Any strategies, suggestions anyone in this room wants to make, my ears are open. I've been running around for the past several years saying there is no point in working with this legislature. If Colorado has a legislature that's willing to adopt really good statutes for election integrity, go Colorado. With this legislature, I fear that if we bring this up to them, they will say, oh, you can hack voting machines? And make our elections like those in Ohio, where the results are electronically transmitted out of the state to be tabulated by a private firm in Indiana and sent back, and we'd lose our precinct level count and our hard copy poll tape and everything. I don't want to call this legislature's attention to election integrity. As soon as we get a new one, let's pass a state law. Other than that, that was the other thing. I was going to go through, okay, when you go to the pre-election voting machine tests, this is a great place to get to know your municipal clerk. These pre-election voting machine tests are relaxed. They're not in a hurry. I'm not joking. They're actually happy to see you. There's no other election procedure I can think of where you walk in the door and they say, oh, good, an observer, And at the pre-election test they do, it's a great place to build a relationship with your municipal clerk and start talking with them about verifiability. I've had some great conversations at these pre-election voting machine tests. I mean, I talked to a municipal clerk once, and I walked in there and said, oh, how good you're an observer, why are you here? And I explained why. She said, oh, don't worry about that. If these voting machines could miscount, the state wouldn't let us use them. I mean, that's how she started out. But by the time I left and, had some nice conversations with her, she was with us. And oh my gosh, what have we been doing? Go to the pre-election voting machine test, get to know your municipal clerks, make friends with them. They're close to you and they should be accountable to their constituents. County clerks, it depends on your county clerk, okay? You can tell how far I got, that I had to run for office to get any attention. So some county clerks are more responsive than others. But yeah, get to know your county clerk too and start working with them. Again, there is nothing in state law that prevents them from auditing, verifying the election results right now. They just need to know citizens are interested. I got you, I'll get back to you. The couple of county clerks I have talked to that were more receptive than the one in my own county. Sometimes they'll talk very honestly to you. And I had one say, I would love to do this, but do you know what kind of pressure I'd get from the candidates if I touched those ballots during the canvass? He said they'd accuse me of tampering with the results if I audited. And he was sincere. He really thought that he was risking a lot of criticism from the candidates if he did anything other than look at the poll tape and say, oh, look who won, and verify the results. But look at that again. If he was being honest with me, and I sensed he was, he's saying, I decide what to do based on the pressure I get. And if we got more people going to the county clerks, at least the responsive ones like him, and, you know, I hate to say it, but threatening them with more pressure and more pain in the neck if they don't do the auditing than if they do, then I think they will. And we get a few county clerks doing decent post-election auditing during the canvass process, and we'll make headway. And then when we get a good legislature, and we will someday again, then we can pass state laws and catch up with Colorado. Yeah?
I really wonder if you're going to get a good legislature when the computer voting system is so riggable and hackable. So I would like to make, again, the argument for getting a piece of state legislation like we have in Illinois, the Illinois Election Integrity Act, so that you can mobilize people all across the state. We purposely had a mirror bill introduced in the House and the Senate. And this election, this November, we don't have a general election. There are so many people that are so angry with Donald Trump and what the Republicans are doing, and we have to get the word out. It's a consciousness-raising process that our election system is not safe, it's not secure. Donald Trump said the 2016 election would be rigged. Was he right? He absolutely was right. Now, if you could get a state representative and a state senator to introduce this legislation requiring those 3 mandatory audits, 2 by CPA firms, you have a focus for your whole statewide population. You give them a bill number, it's a single solution to a complex election integrity problem. I was with the Ballot Integrity Project in Illinois from 2003 to 2007. We were looking at all these issues. What should we do? You know, we were wringing our hands, and finally the legislation emerged. So now people want to know, what can we do to clean up our election? Call up your representative and tell them to co-sponsor and vote for House Bill 712 and Senate Bill 834. You can do this in Wisconsin and in other red states.
No, we can't.
Have a representative get the legislation in the well and mobilize.
I'm not going to argue with the fact that state legislation would be a good idea, and I would love to start working with the state legislature on good election administration. It is a good idea to get good state laws in place. Does any other Wisconsin resident in this room want to stand up and tell?
Yeah.
I used to disagree. We used to disagree on this. I thought we could work with the legislature. Karen was right. If we put something forward, even a bill, what this legislature will do is pass something worse.
Yeah, here we go.
I stand up because I have my hand up. Well, first, as you were going to object to what he was saying before, because the control over the elections is at the local level. You can go to the city, get a petition, go to the city, put it on a city election as to what they're going to do with the counting of the ballots. You got to be smart enough to write this out legally so it's implementable, but you got to get a petition going. You just go to the city election, to the city council, and get them to pass how the city is going to conduct their elections, because it's all on the local level. And it's easier to do that in Wisconsin than to get the legislature to do anything, because, like you said, and as soon as they find out that you're doing this at the local level, you know what they're going to do? They're going to pass a state law that says you can't do that at the local level. But the thing is, once you get the momentum going and the awareness going that you can do something, then maybe something will be done.
It's hard to overstate how extreme this legislature is. Other things, okay, I got you 2 things. Make sure you have modern op scans. Make sure you observe the pre-election voting machine process. Observe the poll closing. If you show up before the polls close, you can stay to watch the poll closing activities, which sometimes include counting the last absentee ballots and the audit I told you to make sure voters equal number of ballots. Poll closing is very interesting to observe, and if you're there, it is just so depressing in a way. You're there before poll closing, and there's a League of Women Voters observer, and there's an observer from the Republican Party, and polls close, and they print out the tape, and they leave. And you're the only observer left to observe, to make sure that the record is, the chain of custody is preserved, and stuff like that. And so, yeah, observe poll closing. And again, every experience I've ever had observing poll closing, the poll workers were completely friendly and receptive, and the chief inspector willing to, it's not a tense process for the most part. Observe the municipal and county canvass. I've said enough about that. You know, if an observer was there, I don't think the City of Marinette canvass could have said, oh, 30% missed votes? Well, look at that, you know. If an observer is there, I think they're less likely to do that. And finally, the post-election audits. There are those few post-election audits that are mandated by the Wisconsin Election Commission. They only happen after November elections in even-numbered years, so you're going to have to wait 2 years before you can observe another one. But again, that doesn't mean that you can't go to your municipal or county clerk and say, try it. Let's just do one precinct, you know? And, you know, even if they do it after they certify, just so they can start to get a feel for what it would entail, doing it between elections. A couple of years ago, there was they were called citizens recounts of the recall. And some citizens observed, basically what they do is they forced hand counts of the recall election in a few counties. And I observed one of those in Rock County, and it was amazingly, what's the word, congenial. Again, the results had already been certified, so it wasn't a real audit. But yeah, when the county clerk was, I'm sure, let's see, let's do it. And I think if you approach your municipal and county clerks with that assumption that they probably do want to do the right thing, and if you work it out with them, you can maybe get some post-election audit done in your community. So, okay, I think I've run through everything citizens can do, and yeah, and I see people standing up, and it's probably time to go. So, thank you so much. Oh, and be sure to stay for that movie tonight. I voted an excellent movie.
Thanks for joining us at the Voter Justice and Democratizing Elections Conference. Please tune back in at 2 o'clock Central Time. We will be going through voting machine security with Damian Christensen from Count My Vote, and then legislative action with Pete Cross and Damian Christensen from Count My Vote. So 2 o'clock Central Time.